2 years ago, when I started this podcast, my intention was to bring you interesting conversations. Conversations that would make you think, help you learn, help you grow, help you evolve. Conversations like the one I'm going to bring you this week. Frank and I sat down to discuss evolving consciousness and what our interpretation is of that, because it is open to interpretation. However, we discussed our knowledge and our experience and applied it to things that we understand that have helped us and that we hope can help you. When I started this, I was a teacher and I was teaching a lot of blokes and could see that, like myself, they needed help evolving their consciousness. That's what I was trying to do. And obviously I was stuck to a curriculum. However, in between that curriculum, we used to have very interesting conversations about different subjects, trying to learn and grow and evolve ourselves through conversation. And that's the reason I started this. And this conversation that I'm going to bring you this week is some of my best work, and I believe mine and Frank's best work. So listen in and enjoy. However, always question. Don't ever take anything we say for gospel. This is our experience and us sharing our knowledge through our experience. And these are things that have worked for us. You need to find what works for you. However, everybody needs to try and evolve their consciousness. If we could do that on a universal scale, the things we could achieve as a race of humans, it's uncalculable, the things that we could achieve. So as always, thanks to Rowdy Strum Music on Facebook. I think it'll stick with Demons in My Mind and Bathe in the Sun. I like those two at the moment. And obviously thanks to Jono for that wicked intro. He's on Craig Johnston Music. Stoked that this was an outside podcast and wasn't too much interference. That's awesome. So many cool things going on behind the scenes, guys. Looking forward to the future. Look after yourselves. Keep hustling. We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Have I burned out? Have I blackened the ground? Will I fight back, find my strength again? Days have been gold, tomorrow losing their shine. Will I give up? I doubt it. I never turn to the bottle to wash away the demons in my mind. I stood up and knocked them down. Though I had a struggle till I seen the colored eyes of the kind. Now they have built me up. I've always had the answer. I'm not one to self-destruct. There's too many smiles that I love. And when my world comes crashing down, I get right back up. I take the brunt, I walk out of the road. Have I burned out? Have I blackened the ground? Will I fight back, find my strength again? Days have been gold, but tomorrow losing their shine. Will I give up? I doubt it. I never turn to the bottle to wash away the demons in my mind. I stood up and knocked them down. And if you wanna take me out, you need more than both your barrels to shoot me down. 'Cause now I am tough. Have I burned out? Have I blackened the ground? Will I fight back, find my strength again. Days have been gold, but tomorrow losing their shine. Will I give up? I doubt it. Will I give up? I doubt it. Will I give it all away? No way.
Welcome back, everyone. G'day, Frank.
G'day, mate. Good to be back.
Awesome to be back, man. What do you reckon about the new gear?
Loving it. It's
Is it?
good, man. Stepping up your game here.
Well, mate, we had to find a way to be able to do these outdoor podcasts without the constant interruptions that we've had since the start, mate.
Definitely.
And we have now. So today we ventured out to Wivenhoe Dam in Queensland, and we're looking at a beautiful expanse of water. We've just been on a bit of a ride, and we want to talk today about consciousness. Now that's an interesting topic because consciousness, as we understand it, realistically no one truly understands it. We don't know what powers us, what is the source of the electronic circuit that powers us on a day-to-day basis, what makes you Frank and me Triffin.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're going to attempt to try and explore that today, aren't we, mate?
We will.
We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go, mate. We'll give it a go. So, the hard question, what is consciousness, man?
Well, a lot of people have been trying to answer this question for like hundreds of years, you know, and no one really knows.
No, it's the basis of
So
really all science.
We only have an idea of what we think consciousness is, right? I'll just give you my idea. So my idea of consciousness is that it's the essence of all life. It's pure positive energy. It's a loving energy. And that love is unlimited, eternal, and free. That consciousness is also expressing itself in so many quadrillion times a quadrillion ways.
So you're not actually talking specifically there about consciousness of an individual. Are you talking about consciousness as a whole, as we're sitting here next to the dam that feeds my showers? You know what I mean? You're talking about consciousness as a whole, not a personal me to you consciousness.
I think you have to start off with seeing it as a whole. Otherwise, you can easily get misled to thinking it's less than a whole. And so when you're trying to evolve, or you're trying to grow yourself and become more, you want to make sure that it's consistent with the truth, the best version of truth that you can have, you know, that you can source, or your best idea of that truth.
Because the truth's an interesting one as well, though, isn't it? Because truth is, like we've talked about before, is like it's actually dependent on culture, belief systems. You know what I mean? What's true to us here in Australia may not be true to someone else. However, I suppose the question is there a universal truth?
Yeah, that's a good question, eh? Everyone's trying to find the truth of the source of the truth, but there definitely is a universal truth. Like, people use the word God. There is a one God.
So quantify that. How can you say that there is a one God? Is that the supreme being that is given the universe life energy to create our consciousness?
The problem with the word God, it's been bastardized so much. The God that the religion talk about is a fiction God. It's a man-made God. It completely contradicts. If you're having some genuine life experiences where you're feeling a presence in your heart, an energy of love, and where's that love come from, you know? It's not something that your body just does like it does everything else. It comes from a place when you're surrendering at a deep peace. So we can feel this level of intelligence, this knowledge, this love, this depth. So when we say God, you can say divine, the divine, you could say the source. It's all the same words, the same meaning.
The
but
universal energy.
Pure positive energy.
Yeah.
The universal energy. So we're trying to describe something that, look, to be honest with you, mentally our consciousness, it's so vast. Consciously we can only grasp kind of an idea of it.
I think that's the issue here, mate. I think that's one of the big issues, is that being able to truly grasp these kinds of issues, sort of like the universe being infinite, and the fact that it's infinite within and infinite without.
Exactly.
Science breaks down molecules, they just keep breaking them down. The topic of consciousness is so vast and so varied, and especially universal energy or God, it's hard to put an understanding on it.
And this is where I see people get unstuck, is they're trying to talk about these complex ideas and talk as if they know what they are, right? So really what we should be doing is talking from our experience. So as I say to you, this is my idea of what it is. It's my idea because it's from my experience.
That's right.
You're applying.
Yeah, you're applying the knowledge that you have through the universe or through the world to form this opinion.
And I will never ever say that I know it 100%, because until I evolve my consciousness to a higher level, there could be a better version of what I believe that consciousness is, you see? A better version of what that God is.
Without a doubt, there probably is, mate.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm always open to a better version. But once you lock yourself into going to thinking, this is how it is, the universe is infinite and this and this and the way it is, like, how do you know, mate?
Well, I think we had a discussion on the bikes on the way here. It's like, and we've had this discussion a few times, and I actually posted about it the other day. It's like, you need to understand that despite, like, me and you, mate, we've been talking for over 2 years now about so many different things, very deep, universal stuff. This is your third or fourth podcast. However, and we'll wax lyrical on so many different subjects for days on end without sleep. Have at the end of it, we both understand that we actually literally know nothing. It's not about understanding what you know. It's about understanding that you know nothing. You're not even. What did Cass said to me?
Yeah.
Your knowledge is a piece of dust on the eyelash of the universe.
I like that, mate. That's, once you think you know something, you've just shut yourself off to knowing more.
Exactly.
And it's unlimited, the knowledge of how far you can go. Even once you reach the place where most people are trying to go, say enlightenment, there's still another mountain after that. There's more. There's bigger versions, better versions. So it never ceases. So having a good platform of the mindset to allow one to grow with the knowledge, and then put that knowledge to experience and to become that knowledge, having that great platform where there's always more to know, there's always more, that allows you to stretch out your boundaries of your belief structures and all your thinking habits. It just stretches it all out to better versions, and that's how we actually evolve. We need to stretch the thinking and the belief structures, and that's half the reason why we haven't evolved for like a millennia.
Because we're attached to our structures and our belief system, culture, and all that sort of stuff.
Belief structures, like the whole boundaries haven't really shifted. And
so it's not about reaching a place and saying, I'm enlightened. It's understanding that you may never reach that place, because continually, once you evolve your belief systems and you're operating from a conscious level as much as you can every day, the multitude of situations that you can see and the variations of those situations and the people that are involved in them and the reasons why that might have happened and why you're doing what you're doing and how can you evolve that and how can you be present in the moment to have an idea twist your mind and yet not go, well, it doesn't suit my belief system. However, evolve with it and join it to your belief systems, and maybe understand that the belief system that has got its back up over this new idea doesn't serve you, and being honest enough to evolve that. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about as far as consciousness is concerned, isn't it? It's about being open and in the moment as much as you can be.
Well, I think we're really I'm really wanting to push conscious expansion, right? So we've just talked about what I think is consciousness, but we really want to expand consciousness so that once you expand consciousness, it's like you are more than you were before. And the way you feel that you've expanded, I think most people can actually, if there was a point in their life, say they look back, it might have been just a year ago, it might have been 10 years ago, but they'll go, geez, I'm different to who I am then. I'm a new version, mate, to who I was back then, you see? And what you've actually done is consciously evolved. And normally it's always going forward to more, because your soul will never want to go backwards. To go backwards is very uncommon. Typically we're expanding forwards. We want to be more of who we are. And so this is the purpose of life, is to expand our consciousness to a lot more, until we become and realize who we truly are, which is that unlimited, eternal, free consciousness wanting to express itself in many ways.
I love that. Unlimited, eternal, free consciousness.
So you think about that. Have a look at your life now. If any part of your life is not unlimited, it doesn't feel eternal,
yeah,
and doesn't feel free, then you are limiting your consciousness for its expansion, you see?
Of course you are. Because you're attaching yourself to whatever certain belief systems or structures that is allowing you to feel that you are limited.
So when you start creating belief structures and thought patterns that kind of supplement these ideas of what I think is conscious, and it's written like this too, it's not just my words, it helps to evolve. It helps to evolve and broaden your consciousness. And I've felt this expansion many, many times. What happens is when you feel the expansion, you actually, because consciousness, you could say, is pure love, pure light, you're bringing in more love, more light. So you're actually feeling better than how you were before. So the more you expand, the better you feel, you see?
Yeah.
So it's a feeling, there's like a pleasure indicator built into the system. And that's why we do what we do, because we want to feel better. So we evolve to feel better. There's a purpose behind it. So
I think the thing is too, though, you got to understand is that inevitably evolving your consciousness means embracing something difficult or embracing a question that may not suit your narrative. You must test yourself.
Very true.
And that through testing yourself and truly testing yourself and understanding that helps you evolve, you do get the serotonin dump. You do get the rewards that the brain gives you. However, the true rewards only actually come from discipline and testing your boundaries and seeing something from another perspective. And it's about, and like this unlimited, eternal expansion of consciousness that you actually can have access to. In order to access that properly, you must understand that there is multiple perspectives of every single situation. There is no black or white. There is only shades of grey. And you can, if you are open enough to see it from all those angles and not attach yourself to any one belief system or structure, you will continue to evolve. However, at the same time, like we've talked about in the past, is that when you evolve, you must recreate your base and go, okay, this is who I am now, like you just said before.
Yep.
You know, you never go back. You can't go back. You got to always move forward. And it doesn't have to be giant leaps. I think there's this expectation in modern society where it's instant gratification. Where it's like, oh, if I take this pill or do this drug or, do this course, I'm going to become enlightened. No, that's not what it's about. You know what I mean? It's actually about a constant evolvement and understanding and analysing, and not just reading books and not just going to seminars. When you come away from that, because the thing is, if you tap into something like that, you actually tap into the energy of the people if they're pure of intent, and it's awesome. And you come away, you feel fucking fantastic. However, then you go back to your normal life.
You've hit on a good subject, because there's so many teachers out there teaching, do this practice and you'll reach this awesome level. And mate, if it was that easy, everyone would be enlightened.
Exactly. Exactly. So if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it.
And this is the work I've loved and been fascinated with, like how to still the mind for years, and it's taken me on a journey. I had to understand a lot of different complexes, subjects, and then you put it all together. They all complement each other coming together.
I find that fascinating, actually, how the multiple paths that are available at the moment, the ones that are pure of intent, are all trying to achieve the same goal, which I think is this consciousness expansion and understanding that, you can be, one of the things, my favourite saying, and I know I've said it before, however, you're on one hand, you're a drop in the ocean that the ocean forgot about. And on the other hand, you are the most eternal, greatest creator that's ever existed. And you have to exist in that juxtaposition, knowing that you know nothing, however also knowing that you can do whatever it is you want to do and be whoever it is you want to be. However, as long as you are willing to apply the effort and be aware of why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and understanding that. You know what I mean?
Mate, I'm so clear that the way I see myself is, like, you could see it as a drop in the ocean, but it's true what you're saying, but I don't really look like that. I already see myself as expansive, but we can be so much more. We can be so much more. I feel like I'm a drop in the ocean compared to the expansion that I could become.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's more, the reason I put it like that is the two so extreme juxtapositions is because people get involved in their ego a lot. You know what I mean? And I think if you can always be aware that you're as I say, you're a speck of dust on the speck of dust on the eyelash of the universe.
Put your ego in place.
You've got to keep that in place, because if you get down the path, I'm the infinite creator, I can do everything and anything all at once, the human condition dictates that you will fall prey to your ego.
I've got something to say about the ego. I've come up with this concept. Check this out. We're all been born by two parents, where we mostly live by, whether we live with our grandparents or our parents or whatever, we've lived in a little family of such, typically, right? Yep,
you've grown up in a certain dynamic, whatever that dynamic is. Yeah,
exactly. So once you start developing who you are in the social world, this is where you start creating this little personality of who am I, kind of thing, and everyone accepts it. So your parents accept it; they love you, whether you're naughty or good, whatever. They still love you,
Mm-hmm.
and society accepts you.
Mm-hmm.
So then you accept your own
personality.
Society
accepts you depending on how you involve yourself in that society. However, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, in general, I'm not saying if you go and steal things like that, they won't accept that. But in general, your personality trait, society accepts that. So then you accept your personality to what it is, you see? And so you've run with this, and this becomes who you think you are, because it's where you've come from in a way. You thought it's where you come from, and everyone's accepted that. And so it fits in the social structure of surviving in this world, in that platform.
In the hierarchy, yeah.
So you've just created this personality, and it can easily go in different directions. I've been fortunate. So I had a few circumstances that I was able to really consider that at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
Like have my personality kind of
shifted and changed
in a big way that was like shit. And then I had to
evolve from there
and recreate a new one. But that was a tricky thing. I was recreating, and I was like, it's all bullshit. It's all fake,
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate in that way. But yeah, it's hard for people to come out of that personality trait to try and maybe create a better version. Why would I want? Because I'll be thinking, why would I create a better version when this version has served me all this time? Everyone, society agrees with me. I'm getting the work I want. This.
Yeah.
This is half the battle too. Because when you do evolve, it's like you are changing yourself. You're changing your mental structure. You're changing your physical structure. Even you're changing every structure, and it's definitely, it all starts with the mind, your conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
We should, that's actually a good place to start too, with the conscious mind, how we think.
Well, we talked about it in early on Quest for Self 2 and belief systems. We covered off a lot of belief systems. If you think about, that's nearly 18 months ago, I think, mate, that we did that. And if you think about where we both are now compared to where we were then, sitting in your study that day, it's chalk and cheese. You know what I mean? we still and I still apply those lessons that we talked about in that podcast. And however, as you say, you must start to question. We talk about conscious expansion. I think the first step is questioning, are your belief systems and does your circumstances, as you say, if you feel limited, you don't feel free, you don't feel like you can achieve, you don't feel like you are that eternal creator, then something is limiting you. Something in your consciousness is stopping you from expanding to that point. And I think there needs to be a clarification where it's like, you know, you're not going to go and buy a Ferrari tomorrow if that's what you will it. You know what I mean? It's more about the fact that in a Western society we've been told that material things are important, and I suppose they are because that's our culture, that's our society in a way. However, these things, this consciousness expansion and creation type stuff we're talking about is actually, it gives you peace of mind. You know, we talk about analogies. One of the things I've actually understood that lately, it's like peace of mind. When you actually truly have peace of mind, you can be at peace with your consciousness. And how do you do that? You actually got to question it. You got to question it. You got to question why you're doing what you're doing. How is that affecting you? How is it affecting the world around you? Does that serve you? You know?
And that's perfect. You've actually said it really, really well. So what you're actually doing is, and if anyone wants to know where to start, this is a great place to start. If they want to start, it's about questioning. It's about using the conscious mind, which is, if you want to know what the conscious mind is, if you're listening to this podcast, it's that focus of conscious mind. Now, the purpose of the conscious mind in design is to decipher from the variety of information who it chooses to be, what it chooses, the choices. It has all these choices. So you could be listening to this podcast going, yes, I agree, I like that, I might think about that further, or no, I don't like it. There's all these choices you can make. You could go, I could give it to someone. So the conscious mind has this variety of choices and what we're supposed to be doing with the conscious mind is use it at its highest potential, and that is to process the data effectively to get to that version of who are you, recreating that version of who are you. And this is how you evolve, exactly how you just said it there. You question it, you think about it, you make sense of it, you create a picture in your mind of what it means to be at a better version of who you are.
Yeah, what does that look like? You know what I mean? What does that look like? Who could you, if you know, for those that are listening, think about that for a second. What does a better version of you look like? You know, like I know when I first met you, Frank, you know what I mean? I was well and truly over 100, I was about 110 kilos, and I was questioning myself, what does my better version of me look like? Now, 2 years later, I'm at 82 kilos, you know what I mean? Like all the things I've done to change my mind and change my existence. Because I had a vision of what's the better version of me. You know what I mean?
Do you feel better?
Oh, it's not actually, there's not a comparison, man.
So you see, that's like a universal law. It just, anyone who consciously evolves will feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is not one person that has ever said, I've consciously evolved and feel worse. So you can see that's a universal kind of law.
Yeah. It's
built into the system. And so that's what drives you to keep evolving, because you want to keep feeling better.
Absolutely.
Better and better and better.
Well, you get to a point where you understand that where you do feel better. It's like, well, I don't want to go back, you know. And it's not to say, and this is the thing, it's not always about forward movement, because evolving as well is about maybe making a certain decision and that decision going badly. You know what I mean? You're not always going to be striving forward. You will slip back from time to time.
Definitely.
However, it's about not slipping back as far as you used to. You know what I mean? It's like, that's your evolvement. Understanding that this is a mistake, I fucked this up, or, you know, something's gone wrong. Instead of, woe is me, I'm going to go back to, you know, the old version of me. It's like, no, I'm not going to go back there. I may slip back a little bit. You'll see the error of your ways, and then you'll go, okay, what is the learning of this? You know, like the other classic statement, you're winning or you're learning. You're not actually losing, right?
Very true.
And that's a conscious choice as well. It's like, you didn't lose. Well, you know, in a way you did. However, you must take the loss and learn from it. You're not losing, you're learning.
And see what you're saying there. Just by saying that, you're using the conscious mind effectively to its higher potential. Because what most of us do is we're living unconscious, which means we just get that data and we see, oh, how did we think yesterday? What was my thought pattern yesterday about that data? I'll just do the same thing again and again and again. 10 years goes by and you feel like you're in the same boat where you were.
Well, isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result?
True.
Isn't that the definition of insanity?
And this is not evolving, and
It's not evolving.
Your thinking hasn't evolved. So in a way, and I mean, society is a bit like this. We're getting trained, and we're almost. I like the term mental lepers.
Mental lepers. That could be derogatory, Frank.
But yeah, we have to step up to the plate and start using the conscious mind to our highest potential. Let's start thinking, what are we doing? What's going on? What's happening? Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's that thought? Where'd that come from?
Because let's look, and the other juxtaposition that we live in as well is that it's probably the best time to be alive ever. Okay. However, it's also the time to question that, because we've actually created a society where we can have such comfort to sit here with this awesome equipment after a cool ride. Our families just looked, you know what I mean? We actually have the opportunity to look at these things, and it's important to try and understand them.
Everyone has the potential. Everyone has incredible, massive, that they are like, we are in a way miniature gods.
Yes.
So we all have huge potential to create amazing, huge, like, whatever we wish to create.
Well, you talk about evolvement. Talk about evolvement, right? So I remember back in the day when you told me that I am God, we are God, you are God. You know what I mean? Like that. It comes from Neil Donald Walsh, and you said to me that wasn't coming from the ego, and I had a lot of questions about that. However, I actually understand that now. I actually understand that
We're all one.
You know,
we are all one.
We are all one, and we are part of the universal consciousness. That's my belief system that I think. However, the more and more that I explore and the more that I see, the more confirmation I have of that. And I think if we all understood that, because we can find common ground with everyone, and there is some common ground that regardless of culture, creed, religion, sex, gender, doesn't matter, you can actually find common ground. And we could actually, I suppose the ultimate goal is to expand consciousness on a universal level across the world, and understanding that
yes.
is a possible thing. However, you can't go, I'm going to change the world. You got to change yourself first.
I think this is going to be huge in the coming future, because we've seen a lot of drug use, a lot of abuse to try to feel better. I mean, what is the purpose behind all that? It's to feel better.
Well,
and we can see...
The purpose is to and listen, we're talking about consciousness. The purpose of any drug of any kind is to alter your consciousness.
Exactly, man.
Because you are not satisfied with the state of consciousness that you currently have. So what can you do for yourself to change your own state of consciousness?
But I think we're coming to a place where we know these quick fixes aren't the solution. They're not working.
No.
And I think there's a lot of good teachers coming out that are putting their 2 cents in and trying to give more clarity to how do we process consciousness in a better way that we can evolve and feel better in a short time, not having to take lifetimes and 20 lifetimes to get there. You know, just precise, good information that can actually help you evolve and feel better and start getting control of your life and start owning your conscious expression, how you wish to express. Well, it's unique to everyone.
I think one of the things is, and what's becoming clear, and I know you agree with me on this, is like a lot of these teachings focus on the mind, and the mind is where you start. However, you must sink it into your body and then therefore into your soul. Because you are a 3-dimensional meat wagon, you know what I mean? Like you're a
3-part being.
You're a 3-part being, and you can't just focus on one and not the other. You must apply yourself across all 3 disciplines. The reason I feel so fucking good at the moment is because I've expanded my mind, opened my consciousness to other ideas, have worked on my body and continue to work on my body all the time. So I seat myself in my body, and my soul is then grateful for that, because it's like you're attempting to look after your meat vehicle. You know what I mean?
Well, the purpose of the body is to experience what the mind has thought, the ideas. Like you've thought through your mind that you want to get a version of yourself is to be slimmer.
Yeah.
And you're now experiencing that through your body, you know?
Yeah.
The purpose of the soul, where the soul one is a bit tricky because
The soul is tricky.
normally everyone knows about their mind and body. Only partial about the mind as well. Normally we know about the mind body, but when you talk about the soul, it's like, where is it? And they're looking behind trees and under tables. Where the hell is it? You know.
Yeah.
But it's actually, in truth, you're one energy.
Yeah. You are.
It's the one energy differentiated into three parts.
Yeah.
Mind, body, soul, all in equal strengths. And then the soul part, the spirit part, is like, you could say it's not within the body. It's the glue that holds everything together. The mind is in every cell of the body. So the mind and body, the mind is in every cell.
Yeah.
But the soul is actually a lot bigger than that. You could say the body,
The bowl?
I was thinking of containers for some reason. The body is in the soul, like it's the glue, but we're more like you got the aura and you've got energy that expands out. But
Yeah. Look, and
this gets more technical.
It does.
It goes deeper and deeper.
Which probably not for today's. However, I think
it is good to.
It's good to try and have an understanding of. And the thing is, the different variations of understanding of soul. I don't think any of them are necessarily incorrect. I think the soul is part of the. It's the universal energy. I like your actually analogy there that the mind is in every cell of the body, and the soul is the glue that holds it all together, and is actually. The soul is different to the mind, but you are a 3-part being.
But the thing is, with the soul too, you want to understand, like, keep it basic, keep it very simple, and keep it to your experience as well. Because my experience, you can feel it. So the soul communicates with the language of feelings. When you feel your heart open, that is your soul. If you've never felt your heart open, then maybe do something that you can, and you could feel the soul. And so,
because consciousness, I think, and this is actually a good time to talk about this, is that we talk about consciousness as mind. People need to understand that they've actually proven through science that there's just as many, if not more, neural transmitters in your heart and in your gut.
That's right.
So consciousness isn't just in your mind, or it's not just in your brain. That's where we situate it. It's actually in your body.
It's everywhere, man.
It's everywhere.
It's the air we're breathing.
And the thing is, like,
it's intelligence too.
From
add that.
And intelligence, absolutely. It's the muse. It's the energy of the universe that you tap into when something amazing happens. You know what I mean? Like, people say that it come out of the ether. Well, where the fuck is that? You know what I mean? It's just come out. That's the universal conscious energy that we're talking about, and it is part of the body as well. Because I know there's a lot of boys that may be listening to this that aren't as fit as they used to be. But if you used to be fit, your mind and your body remembers that. There's a memory in your muscles. There's a memory in your body of that time when you were 18 and playing footy every day, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's a memory of a fitter, better version of you. There's a memory in your body of that, and you can access that stuff if you open your consciousness. You can see that and understand that.
That's why consciousness, like, if you think about that statement, how unlimited is consciousness?
It's unlimited.
It's crazy
Eternal,
to
man.
think that you have a memory that can remember. Like, we cannot create nothing like that today. With the best computers we can create with data and that, but this is a biological, amazing machine.
Yeah.
So
we are. Well, it is, and the thing is, and understand too, guys, that all the stuff that we're talking about now, these are our ideas in it. Because the hard question is, what is consciousness? No one truly knows. Like we were talking about before, it's unlimited. It's unlimited.
So
there's no answer that's wrong, or there's no answer that's right. It's actually
it's everything.
It's everything and anything, and in your interpretation of it.
But it's good to see the expression. Like, we're here at this beautiful lake.
Yep.
And there's so much expression around us. We're seeing so much variety of expression.
Absolutely.
And it's so beautiful. This intelligence, it wants to express itself in so many ways.
Yeah.
And so you're an expression too.
Yes.
You want to. No one. Think about this. As soon as someone says to you, "I want you to behave like this," you just arc up. You just like, no way. Who are you That's the worst thing that we can do, is be controlled by someone.
Yeah.
We all hate it. Everyone. There's not one person that says I'd love that.
Mm.
Because we know in our core we are eternal and unlimited, and we're conscious that we wish to express ourselves in any way that we wish to. If you want to play music and I say, no, Trifo, what are you doing? Don't play that. You feel, who are you to say that? I want to express myself.
Exactly. Do whatever you want.
So
as long as you're not hurting anyone, you know what I mean?
That's right. So it's built into our DNA structure, this unlimited, eternal, and free, that this is who we are. We already have it inside us. If we follow our true instinct, we actually can feel that.
Yeah, culture and society dictates otherwise. However,
Definitely.
you can choose to go your own way. You can be of the system, not in the system.
Check this out, man. Half the suffering in the world is because we're defining those three things of consciousness. So when you go get a job with the boss and he's controlling you, bang, man, it's affecting that part of consciousness. So you're less of who you are. And how do we feel good, man, when we're getting controlled?
Well, I think the numbers are over half of people go to jobs every day that they fucking hate.
But can you see?
Imagine that energy, man, that consciousness, your consciousness every day is going to somewhere you don't want to go to. How does that affect you, right? That affects you mentally, it affects you spiritually, it affects you physically. And I think what we're talking about is that, unfortunately, we cannot go outside of that. You know what I mean? We can't. We still got to pay the bills. You know what I mean? The Western society dictates you must still operate within that system. However, what are you doing outside of that to expand your consciousness and asking questions and using your time better? You know what I mean?
Well, the way I'd see it too is like this. Let's say you got a job where someone's, they're controlling, they're dictating your times, this and that.
Yeah.
If it's serving you in some way that, see, normally, if you didn't have that job, you would, because you want to live in a house and you want to eat food and pay rent, whatever you do, you would actually feel worse if you didn't have that job.
The grass isn't always greener.
But saying that, there are ways that you can think and process the information at hand, and this is the thing, we're becoming more conscious.
Exactly.
So if you want to create a better version, I don't mean a better version of yourself by being more respectful, trusting, or this or that. It's about a better version of everything around you as well, the whole life, your careers, your relationships with everyone. This is all part of consciousness too. It's not within, it's everything. And so this is how I started actually too, is monitoring my thoughts when I woke up. Did I think, geez, I had a job I didn't want to go to?
Yeah. We all have.
But the first thing I did was stop thinking that, oh shit, I've got to go to work. And then you feel crap just before you even start, you know? I didn't even think. I just don't think. And then if you consciously started recreating and looking at different ways of looking at it, even if you played good music in the morning, to get you shift that energy of what the subconscious, what you've been doing for years and years, shift that energy block into a new way, a new version. And this is how new ideas open up. And there is a way, even though you might have a job you don't like, you can still go forward and expand yourself until you can get to a place where you can really create the job you wish to have.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's unpack that, because I'd say there's a fair few people that listen to this that are in a job that they don't like. And this is something that I've faced before as well. It's like, okay, it's serving you because it's giving you money to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You've obviously applied for that job at some point. You've gotten that job for a reason. What was that reason? You can turn the shittest job into a positive experience if you choose to. You go there and you analyse what you're doing. How can you make sure you do that the best that you can? Because it's about having satisfaction, right? That's what we want, you know? So you can go, I'm going to do the best I can at this job every day. Walk in with your head held high. Walk out knowing you've done your best, right? Now, look, everyone's had an idiot manager, or idiot bosses. You can't actually do a lot to control them. You need to understand what you can control within your job. Take that ball and run with it and do the best version of that, right? Because then you can actually have a positive experience at work, knowing you've done your best regardless of what anyone else does. Because I think another problem with consciousness is that we put too much bias on things that we can't control, people that we can't control. there's actually very little that we have total control over. We can influence, right, through our actions and our actions or inactions. However, when you're talking about expanding your consciousness through just having a better day at work, take your job and do the best you can at it.
It comes down to perception.
Exactly.
And it really, if you really thought about it deeply and tried to use your conscious mind at a higher potential, you'll see that every job, no matter whether it's a job you love or a job you don't like, it's all serving you in one way or another.
Exactly.
Because there's relationships in those jobs that serve you. There's so many different areas. And I know where I am today is because of the jobs I didn't like in the past that has served me.
Absolutely.
So it's always a building block towards something more. So it's not like you have to stay where you are. And like I did think of that at one point in my life. No, I'm going to stay here until I feel totally great in this work. But that's not, you don't have to do that.
No, you need to figure out when it's time to move on. You shouldn't hang around in a job that doesn't serve you. However, in between now and then, the old adage is it's easier to find a job when you've got a job. That is true. You want to move. You need to have, you need to work on what you're doing so you know where you want to go. You know what I mean? If you're not doing the best version of what you're doing, how do you know which way you want to go?
And a good place to start too, with the right perspectives, is look at all the positives in that job. There's so many positives you could probably find, and if you focus on those positives a lot more, you actually start changing the structure of the mind to look more towards positives. Absolutely.
Because there's negatives in every situation, you know what I mean? There's the dark and the light in everything. That is actually existence. That's the universe. However, just whatever you choose to focus on.
But the positive aspects of looking at something will serve you immensely in going forward, as in creating better versions of jobs, feeling better within yourself. There's so much serving in that positive aspect. Yeah. Whereas if you're in a negative aspect, it's impossible to get a better version of a job. Yeah. It's almost because you're going to be locked into that same kind of job, even if you did go somewhere else. Yeah. The environment you're creating within is not pleasant, so you're not going to be feeling good.
No, that's right.
So there's so much growth. Doesn't matter where you're at in life. And
it truly is a matter of perspective.
We really live in a lucky country where I'm not sure, there's probably millions of people in other countries that would jump at your job and
without a shadow of a doubt.
They'd probably do it for half the pay.
Exactly, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's all about perspective,
Absolutely, yeah.
Where you're going. So, but yeah, conscious raising, conscious expansion, conscious evolving, we want to become more. So it doesn't mean you have to stay where you are. You want to be more, you become more.
Well, inevitably you won't stay where you are either. You know what I mean? I don't think as you grow and change and evolve, not only are you want more and not more as in like materialistic more, you just want to be better. And you may outgrow a certain situation, so you need to look for the next situation that will help you to continue to evolve. However, you need to make sure you understand the situation you're in now before you can make that next jump. And I think that's an important part about consciousness expansion, is that who are you now? What is affecting you now? What are you doing now? How are your thoughts arranging themselves? What are the belief systems? What are the things that are actually making you do what you do? And the big thing, and one of the things we discussed, is that when we do this consciousness expansion, we don't say it's difficult. It's not easy, okay? Because you don't want to say it's hard, because a lot of people, as soon as you say hard, as we've spoken about before, they go, no, it's too hard. It's not easy.
You've touched on something really important there, actually, just on what you said there. So what Triffin's saying is, where you're at, it holds an energy, it holds a frequency, and there is a conscious level of where you're holding. And so what we want to do is understand that level, like Triffin just said. We want to understand everything about that conscious frequency and that level of consciousness. And when we do understand it in every way, why am I feeling, just give me an example, why am I feeling negative? Because I'm thinking that I hate my job. And I'm looking at my boss and he's annoying me every time I see him. If you can put two and two together, you kind of see where you're feeling and you could see the frequency where you're at. So when you raise consciousness, you're actually raising the frequency of consciousness. Now, what happens then is you start learning. Actually, when you start doing work and you start creating a new version of yourself, you're actually starting to live in a new frequency of energy. And so
you're leveling up.
So what happens then is you start understanding what that level of energy and that frequency is all about again. And then you go to the next level. It's a bit like a chain on a bike, you know. It's one link at a time. And you're constantly looking to the next link. But if you can understand what each link is all about and the energy there, what happens is you've actually expanded your consciousness well, that if you ever did dip down, you understand where you are, you get out of it straight away.
And that's exactly right. That's understanding where you are is about creating your base, because when you slip back to there, you go, oh, hang on a minute, I know what this is.
It doesn't affect you.
Exactly.
You can snap out of it quickly and go back to where you are. But what happens with a lot of teachings out there is they're trying to expand their consciousness to a higher level, and so they're doing this work at a high level and missing
not solidifying what's come before.
They're missing a dozen links along the way.
Absolutely.
And so when they do drop back, which you always will, you're always at a base of where you are consciously, that you could say you're predominantly in that link.
What do you say to me? You can't always run up a mountain.
Nah. And so you're going to be there, and this could be very depressing because you felt great, and then now you feel crap. And so a lot of the teachings out there is to run up the mountain. And it doesn't work like that.
No.
If you want to evolve consciously, effectively, and that's why we haven't.
Well, you can run in bursts, I think. And when you slip back, you've got to stop and prop and understand where you're at and go, okay, how did I move forward last time? All right, that didn't exactly work the way I wanted it to. I can learn from what I did last time, use that to continue to move forward.
Exactly.
In a slightly different manner to make sure it serves me in that way.
And it all comes back to using the conscious mind at its highest potential, which means thinking, learning, evolving, like dissecting that issue, creating new perspectives, finding new perspectives. Don't just go see a mate and he gives you a perspective and go, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's gospel.
Go and trial a different perspective. Like, that's the conscious mind at its highest potential when you're really thinking about an issue. So it's a bit different to religion. Religion takes the thinking out. As soon as you start thinking, bang, they don't like that. Don't question what God is. Just believe that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it is.
Yep.
And where's the thinking there? As soon as you're not thinking, you become like a mental leper. So that's what you become nearly unconscious.
Yes.
You can never be fully unconscious, but you're lessening. Your level of consciousness decreases massively. And so it's very hard to evolve from that place.
In saying that, though, I do think some religions do serve a tribal mindset. And some of the ideas, the base ideas of a lot of religions are very useful at times. It's just when the doctrine and the culture and belief systems and the imposing of rules and this is fucking law. You know what I mean? I think that's where I think the basis of most religions, considering that they're pretty much all the same at the base, is be cool to your friends, be cool to you know what I mean? Like the basis of them can be used as a stepping stone. However, it's an inside job, mate, isn't it? I think that's
it's all an inside job. No matter what religion it is, even in Buddhism.
It's all within you. There's nothing external. You can search for questions. You can search for versions, like you say, perspectives. Don't ever attach yourself to those. You know what your internal truth is. And
even what we're saying here now, think about it. Don't just take it as gospel.
No, definitely not. We don't
run
know.
with it, think about it,
absolutely.
Feel it, experience it. Once you can marry, I like this thing. When you get some knowledge and you have the experience through that knowledge, it's your ability. Now, this is your conscious mind, the ability, the high potential, the ability to marry those two together, from the knowledge to the experience. When you can do that, that means that you can have that experience at will, because you've got the knowledge of how to do that.
Yes.
If you've just gone and had the experience without the knowledge, knowing how, it's very difficult to recreate that experience. And when you can recreate that experience, you sort of can become it. You sort of become that higher version.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
Well, you must explore all knowledge, mate, Because knowledge is power. However, it's nothing if it isn't shared, and that's obviously what one of the reasons I do the podcast is trying to just share the knowledge that I've acquired. I'm not saying for a second that I know anything, because I don't. However, at least if I share my knowledge and share my knowledge through experience, that gives everyone else a different perspective. You're sharing your knowledge and experience. You got to make sure. It's like, well, we rode our bikes to here, mate. You know what I mean? You could sit in the shed and ride a stationary bike and say you're good at riding bikes. Well, you're not. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I've ridden 1,000 kilometres on a bike, in my shed. No, you got to get out and test yourself on different tracks and different terrains and in the mud, in the wet. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And then the sum of who you are, using bike riding as an example, you become a better rider. So if you take that back to consciousness, you get knowledge, from other places and other people and books and whatever it is you want to explore. You analyse and synthesise that knowledge. Use your own universal truth to siphon out what you think's bullshit and what's not, and then apply that. Now, you may be wrong when you apply that. However, at least you've applied it, and when you apply it, you'll see it from a different perspective, which will then allow you to, evolve it again. And the interesting thing that I find, mate, is that no matter all the disciplines and all the things that we've talked about, I know we look at a lot of different people, and we listen to a lot of different things, and we explore philosophy, and we explore all these things. The answers are still the answers, man. They seem to be the answers. You know what I mean? I don't think there's, as long as you are expanding your consciousness and attempting to be who you are and trying to figure out who you are and understanding that you are, what did you say, unlimited, eternal
and free,
mate,
which is love. Like, it's
love, man.
Pure love, pure energy, pure love.
And what I wanted to talk about too, because I think we're reaching the end of today's podcast. We just opened up another can of worms. However, it's with the heart and the gut, especially, and this is directed at men primarily, is that, look, I think some men operate from their gut, gut instincts and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? I think we're very mind and gut orientated because of our survival stuff, our warring natures, all those things. However, boys, you really need to think about trying to accessing your heart. You know what I mean? And that's something that I'm working with Frank on. He's helping me out with, and I'm doing my own personal work with that. And I can tell you that it's actually very satisfying to truly try and feel. Feeling is healing, as it's one of the mottos of the podcast. And you can see things again from another totally different perspective, a perspective of love, And that's not to say that you don't be fit. That's not to say that you don't train yourself. That's not to say that you don't defend all these things. You still have to be a man and what a man is. However, I think one of the things we've lost in expanding our consciousness through our body and our soul is the heart, and I think that's a completely another podcast. However, I just wanted to say that and have people think about that. You know what I mean? Look, I think most blokes can say, if they're honest, they've been heartbroken, you know what I mean, from a loved one or something like that. That's the general emotion from heart, However, there's a completely different side to it as well. There's such a positive, loving thing, you know what I mean? Like, fathers out there will understand. You with kids, you access your heart at times, However, you can access that for yourself,
I can just say, like, if you not sure what the heart experience is, then it's so beautiful. It's very difficult to describe, but
it's very difficult. And as I say, it's not a conversation for today. I just wanted to put it out there so people can think about it.
It's very beautiful. It's worth exploring.
Yeah, it's part of your body, guys. It's part of your 3-part being. Your gut, your mind, and your heart. That's your body's 3-part being, and then your external to that is mind, body, soul. You really need to think about that. You need, and your consciousness expands through all levels. I'm
actually started a meditation.
Yeah, you did, mate. When's that? If people wanted to come and see that, when would that be? Give yourself a bit of a plug, mate.
I'm normally doing it on some Wednesday nights.
Yep. I am talking to Frank about expanding his social media exposure so he can let people know properly. But anyway.
So I've got. Thanks, mate. It's basically it's a very basic platform. It's at the start, so it's designed for beginners. And for anyone really.
So where do they go to find out about that, mate? There's a Facebook page attached to it.
There is a meetup group.
Yep.
Or they can, I think it's called Raising Conscious. So I didn't really set it up. Another lady did, so I'm just helping her out. But
Well, tell you what, give me the
running it.
details. Give me the details, and I'll chuck it in the show notes of the podcast, all right? And I'll make sure
People can email me too. You can throw my email in there.
Well,
and I could show
yeah,
them,
I'll get all Frank's. I did put him on the spot there, guys. I didn't actually tell him that I was going to do that. So
No, it's all good.
I'll get all the details, and because I think it's a good thing. I'm definitely going to come along and have a bit of a look. And
It's just started, and it's already got some good response from it, because I actually go into a lot of detail and explain things, like an overall picture of what it means to be still, all the areas of your life to be connected, and then we do meditation that delivers you towards becoming more still, and basically, and it's a variety of meditation too, so it's not just the one. So if someone's mind is very erratic, like I've got techniques that helps them with that. And so it's for anyone. So I do a couple of varieties.
Yeah, look, I think it's interesting, mate. I think, it
gives you basic knowledge, basic understanding at the start.
And you are talking a lot about what we've talked about today as well.
Exactly. But it also gives you the knowledge needed to really make a difference, to really get to that place of stillness. The relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind, for instance, is very misunderstood out there. And so,
absolutely, let's finish on conscious and subconscious, because I didn't actually tell you my thoughts on this before we were on our way down here, right? See this is just my analogy of it, right? So say if I've got a problem that I need to work out. However, I can't devote time to it. I'm at work or I'm doing something. I've got a priority that I'm taking care of, and there's an issue that's come up in my mind that I need to. Shit, that's actually pretty big. I need to work on that, right? And this is just me being a weirdo, right? I say to myself, like, listen, boys, I picture there's like little blokes in the back of my head. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like an office block in the back of my head.
Yep.
Listen, boys, I need you to work on this issue, right? And come back to me when you've got a solution. Right, so that to me is me accessing my subconscious. It's like, listen, okay, I've recognised this is a problem. I need to think about this problem and work on this problem. Get back to me, subconscious, when we've actually got when we bring it, sift through the detail, right? Figure it out, and then come back to me when we've got some points to work on, and then I'll bring it to my conscious mind and actually figure it out from there. And when we were talking about that, it's like, the subconscious, we do so many things subconsciously, breathing, there's so many things we do on a day-to-day basis that are subconscious. How can you ignore that? It's actually, to me, I think, one of the most important parts. You need to be in the moment. However, your subconscious is the one that's processing the gigabytes or terabytes of data that are coming into your brain every single second. That's where it all happens, and then it brings it to your conscious mind for clarity and understanding,
Yeah, you said it in a way that's it's true and it's not. So
I'm just being a weirdo. That's how I.
No, it's pretty good what you're saying, because what happens is, like, I'll just clarify what you're really saying. So typically we have 60,000 thoughts a day on average. Like, that's the number that someone's pulled out.
Someone's pulled out of somewhere.
Give or take. So when we learn to still the mind and concentrate the mind, you see, we want to get that right down to, a few thousand. So what happens is you're stopping a lot of that busy, noisy chatter that is irrelevant. But what happens is you can never go to zero, okay? Because
aren't you filtering those thoughts through the subconscious? Aren't you giving the subconscious through consciousness? This is just me exploring this through consciousness, giving the consciousness a set of rules or understanding. So listen, we don't want to let this bullshit through. It must filter through, because you're still getting it. It's still, the traffic is still coming in, especially if it's a modern busy day. You know what I mean? Your environment is still affecting you, but you're saying you're only filtering. There's only a few thousand thoughts that are coming to the front of your mind, as opposed to
let me explain like this: the purpose of the subconscious is it's a habitual, programmable part of the mind. But the conscious and subconscious mind are interrelated. You can't really pull them apart,
decide
which is which in a way. We can understand what one does or the other, but you don't want to kind of pull it apart too much, right?
Yeah.
Because they're so interrelated together. So the conscious part of the mind is there to think about things and to choose from its ways what it chooses to be, you know. Like every day you wake up in the morning, from the day you wake up from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, there's choices. How many choices you make in that day?
Oh, a million, thousands.
Right? Okay. Yeah. You're making these choices at the conscious mind, right?
Yeah.
Now, the subconscious mind is part of the mind that is habitual in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say when you're a kid, you had to learn how to walk. So you had to get up consciously, look how to walk, and then you're able to walk after it was through repetition. Then so if you can think about driving a car, you had to practice consciously with a lot of energy, focus on every little move until through repetition of constant practice,
you pretty much
become a program.
Yeah, it's a subconscious thing now.
It becomes a subconscious program. But the subconscious is still alive, so I don't want to look at it like a program, you know. So then what happens is these programs support you. They support the conscious mind. Because can you imagine if you had to get up every morning and relearn how to walk, how to drive a car, how to read, how to eat?
Absolutely.
You can't function.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of getting at. The subconscious holds all those things.
It's there to support the conscious mind, and by doing that, it allows the conscious mind to be free to then create new ideas and to think and become better versions of itself. Yeah. So when you're talking about before, like I want to put thoughts in the back, I want to give a job to my subconscious mind. What you're actually doing, this is where it's right and it's wrong, right? What actually happens is when you use the conscious mind at a higher potential, so you're really thinking about things and you're processing data, everything you do consciously is training the subconscious to program.
Mm-hmm.
Every moment of every choice and everything, but it's a repetition. Mm-hmm. So let's say you go and shoot an arrow and you're going to be pretty crap at it, right? Because you've never done it before. But if you go back there and keep doing it, you're going to get pretty good at it because it becomes a subconscious program, right?
Yep.
So it's through repetition of practice. So now if let's say you constantly start creating a way of using your conscious mind that's productive in thoughts and how to think and dissect things. Yeah. But you've also quietened the mind. You've learned how to still the mind, which is a meditation technique. Mm-hmm. So you're not overthinking things. You're not like worried about a math puzzle or a question, and you constantly just can't get that out of your head. Yeah. This is not concentration. So you want to be able to focus that conscious energy exactly where you want to focus it, like really contemplate about something. Mm-hmm. So what happens there is you're actually creating a habit of the subconscious to also contemplate and to think. Yes. But because you're doing it effectively and in a beautiful way that you're really trying to dissect issues, the subconscious will help you as well. That's where sometimes I'm doing a job and I'm like, shit, how am I going to fix this? A thought comes to the mind, how to fix it. You know, where that thought come from. So you lost something, and next minute it just comes to the mind. Where'd that thought come from?
Well, I think that my interpretation is that those things come from the subconscious because that's the thing that's a version of whatever. Yeah, the multi-levels of the multi-levels of the mind.
So you could see it's alive, but it's to give it tasks to do and this and that. It's not really its job to It's the job of the conscious mind, who is at the forefront. It's the creator. Your conscious mind is the true creator. Yeah. And then
the subconscious is
the habit.
Is the habit.
It's a habitual in nature that you want to train the subconscious to create habits. Let's say there's 1,000 habits we have, right? Yes. But you want to create habits that serve you, not disserve you. Let's say you're negative and you're thinking you're hating your job. You're creating a subconscious that. Let's say someone.
Shit. Yeah. Let's say someone. I've got no way out.
Let's say someone pisses you off at work, and you've seen him, and he's. And next minute you start thinking about it. The next day you go in, you don't have to try, man. A thought just comes to your mind. He's an idiot.
Yeah, because he's pissed you off for the last 30 days.
It becomes subconscious.
They say it's 30 days of repetition or 3 months or whatever it is.
That's not really accurate though either.
No. But that's the thing. And okay, no, that's cool. That's cool, man.
I've changed a habit in 5 days, but I was meditating 10 hours a day, right? Yeah, but who cares if it takes you 2 months or 3 months to change a habit?
No.
Like it's how much effort you want to put into it.
That's right.
To create a habit, you see? So you can't say there's this 30 days. That's if everyone did the exact amount of training.
Well,
who can use their conscious mind at the same ability as well?
We're all different. We're all different on different
Exactly.
levels.
So who cares if it's 30, 40, 20, 10?
Doesn't matter. Just keep going. The
Just
thing
do
is,
it.
don't fucking stop, man. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It doesn't matter. If you want to get to that goal, you'll
can
take
get
the
there.
extra mile.
Exactly. Yeah,
get
you'll
it.
do whatever needs to be done. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, look, I think this is. I love this, dude. I think this is awesome, and I think taking away from that, I suppose, there's conscious, subconscious. However, I think there's probably many other levels of the conscious mind that we maybe need to explore another day.
I go through it in the talk as well.
Yep.
With the meditation.
Yeah.
So we go more into it because the meditation is designed around
design using that and
creating
accessing
the
that.
subconscious. Because once you can create good platforms on the mind at the subconscious level, which means it's a natural habit that you're in a good platform or state of mind.
Yeah.
Man, that really you can actually really use your conscious mind to more higher and higher potential. So that's what I want to reach out and
try and explore and help people try to achieve.
We want to do that, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks very much, dude. It's I'm loving this new gear. I think there was a little bit of wind, but I don't think it affected us too much. And onwards, man. Onwards.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
very
having
much.
me.
No worries, dude. We'll talk soon, eh?
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Today I sat in a field of paper daisies. The gentle breeze made the world wave to me. The day has come with a gold ring wrapped around it. I think I might just bathe in the sun. And I hope my world don't crash in over me, just like it did yesterday. I'm pretty sure the last mirror that I cracked was more than 7 years ago. And I don't want to wear those bullet holes no more. I want to kill my nightmare. And I've done nothing wrong to anyone. Then I just want to be better, better than who I am, better than who I am, better than who I am, better than who I am. Moonlit river flows by gently, like the ocean made from the earth. It is healing all of my inner bleeding, even though it's only pictures in my mind. And I hope my world don't crash in over me, just like it did yesterday. I'm pretty sure the last mirror that I cracked was more than 7 years ago. And I don't want to wear these bullet holes no more. I want to kill my nightmare. Don't stick those pins in the dog that looks like me. I'm burning up. 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 I'm burning. Today I sat in a field of paper daisies. The gentle breeze made the world wave to me. The day has come with a gold ring wrapped around it.